This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
Wenatchee is gorgeous in the spring with its lush green rolling hills, abundant wildflowers everywhere, and the views of the Columbia River. The local food scene offers an abundant selection of authentic international cuisines featuring the unique farm-fresh ingredients of the region. Wenatchee is also home to award-winning wines, handcrafted hard ciders, and a talented handful of local brewers producing fine craft beers. Visit Wenatchee, the heart of Washington State.
Hey, this is BJ. Thanks for listening to our show's podcast. If you're a fan of all things geeky, you should check out my other podcast, BJ Shea's Geek Nation. We have new episodes every day, and you can check it out at bjgeeknation.com.
Your driver's license is important so you can get back and forth to work, get your kids to school, and back and forth to daycare. If your license has been suspended because you can't pay your tickets, you can't do any of those things. Let's talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You may have heard that tickets cannot be discharged, but they can be dealt with in a Chapter 13 case. Why not come in for a free consultation? The chapter you choose will make all the difference to your getting back legally on the road. Let's design a plan to pay off your tickets and restore your license immediately. I'm attorney Travis Gagne. Please contact me today at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com.
99.9 KISW, the Rock of Seattle. This story is really disturbing. This is about a 50-year-old woman who's in Pennsylvania. Her daughter is in high school and is on the traveling cheerleading team called the Victory Vipers. And the mother came up with a plan to get her daughter's rivals off the team.
Don't you want, isn't like it's a team thing? Don't you want them all to be on the team together? Like, don't you work together? I'm confused by that. If she's on the team, wouldn't you want her to be happy with the teammates?
Yeah, Steve, I'm with you. The only thing I think of is that maybe she's not as big of a star on the team.
She might be like on the bottom of that pyramid. And she wants to be on the top.
So mom was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make these deep fake photos and videos that made it look like those girls that were her rivals were drinking, vaping, and naked. Wow. And then she anonymously sent those pictures to the team's coach and also to the girls themselves, which that's well, how do you think that in any way, shape, or form is appropriate? She even urged the girls to kill themselves.
Oh my gosh!
Like this is just
like a real awesome mom.
It just continues to get worse and worse as we go deeper into this story.
Vicky showed me a mugshot of her, and I don't know why, but it's bothering me. She has like no lips.
Wow,
she has like very it's a weird thing. You have to Google search it if you got to check it out because
she looks like a mime.
It's just a weird thing, and on top of it, like we're hearing the story of how crazy she is, so it just makes the picture look even more crazy.
Yeah, dude, that is a very, very chilling picture.
Never trust a woman with no lips.
Good point.
Wow.
It's a very, very good point, Steve. It's an adage to live by.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only good news out of this is that the reports say that there's no sign that her daughter knew that she was doing any of this. So I'm happy about that. You'd like to think that, that this was just one person off the rails. And the coaches, of course, and the parents called the cops. They figured out, they were able to trace all these pictures and videos back to that mother. She got arrested. Cyber harassment of a child and other charges.
Do you think the daughter had anything to do? It seems odd that mom is just like that obsessed with making sure her daughter's,
the reports are saying the daughter they have no signs that the daughter had anything to do with this.
I'm not surprised when you see things like dance moms, how competitive and how crazy these moms can be, either because they want to feel special that their kids are succeeding, or maybe she missed out on being a cheerleader when she was younger, or was a cheerleader and she just wants to relive it again through her daughter.
The only thing that I thought too, I mean, and this is giving them a lot of credit, so maybe not, but maybe like the daughter said like, hey, these girls are bullying me at school, and so she like wanted to get back at them or something. You know what I mean? Because they do say rivals, and rivals to me make it seem like she had a problem with these girls.
Beef.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a premise to a really bad Hallmark movie or something.
Yeah.
Or even like one of those like Mean Girls type movies, but it's just like way over the top.
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up with parents that were just really, really crazy when it came to their kids and team sports and things like that. And I thought, okay, you are way over the top. You need to dial this back. You know, parents getting into fights with other parents at little league games and things like that. But this is just, how do you think in your brain that this is not horrible? Well, like what? I think they can't let her out until they really evaluate her from a mental health standpoint. She's not well in the head.
But I mean, she clearly is very good at Photoshop. It's very weird.
Dude, those deep fakes, have you seen the deep fakes? I mean, they're insane how,
right.
I mean, there are people that feel like they made deep fakes of, well, spoiler alert, when, the last season of The Mandalorian, we had a very special guest star in the last episode. And people did side-by-side comparison of the CGI of that special guest because they had to make him look how he looked when he was young. And then then people showed deep fakes that they just made on their own. Somebody just made deep fakes, and the deep fake actually looked more convincing of this supposed character than the CGI version.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Really.
So, I mean, I don't know how good she was at it, but it could have looked like those girls were really doing what she was deep faking them to make them look like they were doing.
I hope she was really bad at it. Like, you know what I mean? So that way it's so because people are going to share these stupid videos and pictures because that's just what young idiots do. And I'd hope that like it's so obvious that it's not real. That way at least these poor kids aren't like put in a weird position that these fake naked pictures of them are out there on the internet, you know, being shared, and it's obvious that it's not them. You know what I mean?
I hope you're right, dude. I mean, you know, our buddy Caesar likes to send a lot of deep fake stuff to us all the time, and I'll tell you,
but it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, those are poorly done.
Caesar's really, you know, I mean, I don't know. I think he's really dancing and doing music videos.
I never thought you were Lady Gaga, BJ. I'm just going to put that out there.
You never did, because I thought, I was like, you know what? I think I'd make a good Lady Gaga.
Caesar just did one. He did one of Vicky.
Yeah.
Just the other day. Did you guys see that one?
I haven't seen the one of Vicky.
It's Baby Iron Man, or Little Vicky as Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, that was adorable.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a really bad Photoshop.
Oh, that's a bad version. That's a bad
face on a kid wearing an Iron Man outfit.
Yeah, that's. But you know what's that's a great look. I mean, it really is. I mean,
well, that's what I mean. Like, I wanted to almost not. You want it to be like so obviously bad, so at least that person can be like, "You guys really believe that's me? That's not. It's clear it's not me vaping.
Yeah,
that's like it's not even the same gender. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff."
Yeah, I hope you're right about that, Steve.
Man, what an embarrassing thing though for the daughter when she does. If she had nothing to do with it and then she finds out, that's a tough one to recover from. Your crazy mom.
That's my crazy mom. Yeah, you're right, Steve. That's a beating.
Because I think about all the times, like my dad, my mom, not so much. Well, I guess she did kind of embarrass me because there was a meeting amongst parents to tell my mom that they're not going to let their kids come over to our house because my mom was letting us watch naughty movies, not like porn, but you know, like Spring Break and Losing It and Meatballs and Porky's, and so they'd go back to their house with new words that they learned at my house, and so like the parents had a big talk with my mom about like, hey, can you pump the brakes on these movies, and can you also maybe use the F-bomb a little bit less? Wow. But it wasn't like, she wasn't deep faking anyone. It was just bad words.
Yeah.
My dad would yell at like my hockey teammates when I was a kid, and that was embarrassing.
Oh, see,
but again,
that's very... Oh.
But at least he wasn't deep faking things. Like he wasn't like...
It's escalating, though, Steve. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know if that's considered as bad as deep faking is today. I mean, I would like to think it isn't, but I mean, parents just getting way involved in their kids' lives like that is not cool.
Well, I remember having that talk with my dad. I'm like, stop yelling at my, because he would yell at my defenseman when I was playing hockey because I was a goalie, and he's like, to the point where one time he took his hat off and hit one of them in the head on the by the bench.
Yeah, that's the deep fake moment right there.
And he's just like, and I'm like looking at my dad, and then afterwards it was that awkward car ride where I'm like kind of having to be the mature one, and it's like, Dad, you can't do that. He goes, well, they weren't helping you out. I'm like, you still can't do that. And also, it's not like, I mean, you have this false like view of me. Like I'm also letting in crap goals. Like if anyone should be hitting the head with a hat, it should be me. Like stop blaming my defense for things that I'm screwing up. Like, it's like one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
But it was just like, eventually he calmed down, but also they put up a fence so that parents couldn't get too close.
Eventually he calmed down after they put up the fence.
But the fence wasn't because of him. The fence was because the other parents jumped onto the rink and would start fighting the kids that would get hit.
Are you
in that
serious?
case,
Yes.
All right, then your dad probably was the most reserved one there.
Yeah, he seems the most reasonable one at that point.
Right, that's what I mean. Like that fence was not put up, and then it got so bad because then the parents, these same idiot parents, and I felt bad for my buddies that had those parents, were climbing the fence to get on the rink. It was like,
oh, that's see that,
wow.
and really, I mean, I think deepfake is the next step. I mean, it just if those fence climbing parents had this ability to do stuff like this, I think they would have pulled this Tanya Harding moment. I mean, seriously, it's nuts what people will do, like Vicky said, so that they can be proud or live vicariously through their kid.
So I want to know what the hell is a deep fake? It's just like a really good Photoshop to make the person look like that person.
But usually done through videos, so they're moving around and everything, and some of these are really, really impeccable.
Yeah.
Especially with those apps where it's like all of a sudden they can mesh your face with somebody and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, I look just like Lady Gaga. It's amazing.
Totally.
I mean, I'm pretty attractive, I got to say.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I didn't realize that I was working out as well as I did because I'm pretty toned.
Well, yeah, and just like her, you like meat on your skin.
Yeah.
What?
Well, hey, listen, who doesn't?
BJ and Migs, mornings on The Rock, 99.9 KISW.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Your kids will be saying,
"Please, 5 more minutes. I can't believe I did that."
And,
"Look how high I can bounce."
Spring Free is the world's safest trampoline, the place where stories are made. The innovative design boasts no springs, so you know you're safe. Go ahead and create the greatest stories you'll tell your friends. We're back in stock. Get it while you can. To learn more about the world's safest trampoline, visit springfreetrampoline.com.
Mom, come watch us.
Wenatchee is gorgeous in the spring with its lush green rolling hills, abundant wildflowers everywhere, and the views of the Columbia River. The local food scene offers an abundant selection of authentic international cuisines featuring the unique farm-fresh ingredients of the region. Wenatchee is also home to award-winning wines, handcrafted hard ciders, and a talented handful of local brewers producing fine craft beers. Visit Wenatchee, the heart of Washington State.
$20 million, $19 million, $6 million. These are all awards recovered for clients of Phillips Law Firm. To win big, you have to fight big. And Phillips Law has been fighting the too-big-to-fail insurance industry for decades. Not every case will have a multi-million-dollar outcome, but Phillips Law will fight just as hard to recover the outcome you deserve. If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or on the job, call or click today at 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.
99.9 KISW, The Rock of Seattle. Steve has talked about how good that Conan O'Brien podcast is, and sometimes you don't even recognize that it's Conan hosting it.
He's so chill. It's not the usual Conan that we've seen on TV. It's great, though. Conan's just a great interviewer, and he's such a nice dude.
And he had Shaquille O'Neal on recently, who told a really awesome story about his NBA playing days and how Shaq accidentally got icy hot pain reliever on his private parts before a game. And here he is talking about that.
I always used to see icy hot in the locker room. And one day I kind of had like a thigh bruise and the guy rubbed it, but he rubbed it too high. So during the game, my little guy started getting hot. Like I thought something was wrong. And it got to the point where I was like, hey man, I think I need to go to, I need a doctor. Like, my little guys are on fire. So he's like, oh, I think I put the icy hot too high.
God.
So now I take a shower. Boy, I thought I was in hell. So then I'm in there screaming, ah.
You know, if I had a massage, I guess you're an athlete and you deal with physical therapy all the time. I almost would be like, hey, I'll handle this one. It's a little too close to the area. I'll apply that icy hot.
Yeah, I know you don't like people touching you, but that's exactly what happens, Steve. I mean, those guys are so used to hands all over them that they're getting so much. I mean, they're really getting so much, massage treatment that it's second nature to them. So he doesn't care where they are. It feels probably good to get those kinks out, unless, of course, you get icy hot near the boys. Oh man!
And dude, Rev and I can speak from experience. I don't know if anyone else can, but when you get that, we didn't use icy hot. We used a different type of icy hot, different brand, but it was like a deodorant stick version of it, and we collectively on the Mixcast once decided to put that on our boys to see.
Oh,
yeah, for science,
just because you hear the stories, why not find out firsthand what it feels like? And it's no joke; it's the worst. It's unbearable.
It's so awkward in the bathroom too when we're all just trying to get that off,
cool it off,
and not a great time.
Well, I'll tell you, Shaq was able to get help. And he talks about how, he did finally get relief from the icy hot too close to the boys, thanks to a janitor.
There was a Spanish janitor in there, and he said, compadre, you got to use milk. I'm like, what? He said, you got to use milk. I said, what are you talking about? He said, capsaicin is hot pepper. So we Spanish people, when we eat hot pepper, the milk calms it down.
Yes.
So I said, okay. I gave him some money. Let's go to the thing, milk. So now I'm in the shower pouring milk on my boys, and the guys coming in, they're looking at me like, what the milk actually worked. So then when I meet with Icy Hot, I was like, you know what? It's hot. You guys, this company works.
That is your testimonial for Icy Hot?
Yes, it is.
It set your testicles on fire?
Yes, it did. Oh, boy. I've never felt a pain like that in my life.
Well, I knew that milk worked when you ate hot foods, and you're supposed to drink it. But apparently it also will help it if it's on the surface of parts of your body.
So that's what we did wrong when we did the Icy Hot Challenge. We should have grabbed the tub of ice cream and just rested our...
Oh, we should have.
No.
Wow. Well, I would have just grabbed a tub of ice cream at least I'll be eating some good stuff while I'm burning to death.
Dude, I got nervous when we were listening to that. When he says, I gave the guy some money, I thought he was going to say he had the guy pour the milk on him. But he just gave the dude money so he could go buy him some milk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And look, I'll give you a little extra money if you come in the shower and pour it all over me.
Imagine being Shaq's teammate. Shaq's not a short guy. He's probably the biggest guy on the team. And there's this giant dude in the shower just dumping milk on his package.
Yeah, you'd be like, have I walked into some sort of fetish film here? What am I doing?
Shaq's 7'1".
Yeah, he's
324 pounds.
Yes, sir. And just to watch him just pouring milk on his boys, man, you'd be like, okay, I didn't think I'd see this.
That's a sight I would never forget. If I put on this team and someone said, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen playing professional basketball? I'd be like, well, there was once a time where I saw a naked Shaq pouring milk on his testes.
And some people saw that, but no one had the balls, if you will, to tell the story.
Right. This is the first I've ever heard of it. No one wanted to crush Shaq.
Yeah, I don't blame them. So now I bet it would be great to hear from the people that were in the locker room. They go, all right, now I can finally share my side of the story. Because that had to be really weird. Yeah, I mean, look, I've been in a basketball locker room one time when I played for the New Jersey Generals and the Globetrotters, and that in itself was just an experience. But I didn't see anybody pouring stuff on their boys. I didn't see that.
I know someone says I think it's funny that probably the guy that has the biggest in the NBA is calling it his little guy. LOL.
Well, I mean, in comparison,
yeah, for him,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this.
It's a little guy, but to others, that little guy could probably have his own social security number.
Yep.
I will tell all you folks to check out the London Hughes special on Netflix. Apparently, this is all a lie, at least according to her. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, being the tallest guy in the world doesn't necessarily, I mean, I don't know if Vicky can testify this because all I see is with tall guys, but being with the tallest guy in the world doesn't necessarily mean he's got the biggest package in the world.
No, I've seen some short dudes with some pretty impressive equipment, and I've seen tall dudes where you're like, well, that's, unexpectedly average.
Or is it like a scale thing, though? What if, you took the package of a tall guy that you say is not that impressive and put it on a package and put it in place of, a smaller dude in height? Would it then look impressive?
I mean, it definitely, I think, adds to it. But, when you actually do the measurements, if you will, it's the math beats it.
Yeah, I would imagine Vicky knows. If listen, you know what? When you're handling tamales and burritos, It doesn't matter where the burrito comes from. You know the size of the burrito, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I would think Vicky would be like, I don't care what you're telling me, pal. I don't care what kind of canvas you're putting this on. I know how big this burrito is. No, too soon?
No, I'm just trying to find like another way. Like I understand what you're saying, but I also think about like certain things like can seem smaller, but they're actually the same size. Like,
that's why you always you hang yourself out the window with the rearview mirror because things are always larger than they appear. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. Well, I think about like sometimes I like get like a bottle of Coke, and I'm like, oh, that's X amount of ounces, and so is the can as well. But they look like the bottle looks way bigger.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Right.
Yeah, but then when it's in your hand, you're like, oh no, it weighs the same.
I never really weigh them.
Well, like you're like, oh no, it's the same amount as holding, the aluminum.
Steve, you just haven't had. You've only had experience with one burrito.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wasn't a confident answer.
Well, you've ruined burritos now for me for a while.
Sorry, buddy.
I'm gonna just go with the burrito bowl now at Chipotle.
Yeah, sorry about that, buddy. My bad. There's a cool discussion on Reddit right now. People are talking about the toys and games from when they were a kid that would be considered too dangerous to play today. And I swear they were listening to our show as Steve talked about, as they put on the list, one of your favorite toys playing with as a kid, Steve. And you talked about how did our parents let us play with these?
It's got to be lawn darts.
Oh, yeah, on the list.
If it's not on the list, this list is bunk.
Yeah, it is on the list of dangerous toys that parents used to let kids play with.
Yeah, that one, it would blow my mind. Like looking back on it, as a kid, it didn't seem anything weird about it, but our parents would just it'd be almost dark. And we're out, my buddy Chris and I would go to the beach in Breezy Point, New York, and go play lawn darts. And we would play in the dark. And not one parent said, guys, that's a really dangerous idea. They just said, come back when you're done.
Yep.
Part of me's like, come back when there's only one of you.
With lawn darts, the same thing was also with horseshoes. Like, we used to have a horseshoe pit in the backyard. And we would start by throwing them into the pit, and eventually it would just turn into hucking horseshoes into the air and listening to them crash down because they made a cool sound. But then you'd throw it up and you'd be staring at it as it was coming right back down at your face and then dodging it right at the end.
Dude, lawn darts in the dark was such a trip because it was all about the sound. Because like all of a sudden, like you're throwing it up there, and I'm like, or my buddy Chris would throw it up, and I'm like, I wonder where it's going to land. And you just hear, and they're like, oh my gosh, that was really close.
Damn,
right, my turn.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's some scary business. Do you guys remember the spinning gate on the playgrounds? It's a gate on a pole.
Yes.
Yeah, and you stood on the back of it and just spun around.
Isn't that the one that was like kind of it was like a steel Lazy Susan type of a thing? Like it almost felt like that.
I think that's the one we're talking, because that's the one I remember. Yeah. So I'm assuming that's what they're talking about. You just stand on the back of it and spin around.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm
and apparently I guess that's caused a lot of injury.
No, those are two different things. There's literally a spinning gate as well.
Oh,
like literally, it was like a gate.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Me neither.
And then, but there was also, the little merry-go-round that was super fun because you try to spin each other around as quickly as possible.
Now that one I remember.
Yeah. That was dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we all did it, but like the game was like one person would go on and everyone else was just trying to spin that thing as hard as humanly possible to see if it would fly you off of it.
And most of the time there were like metal bits sticking out that you probably probably would get cut on.
Oh, yeah. No one really maintained those things.
No.
And it was rusty.
I think there's still some of them somewhere out there. That's the sad thing.
That's why I never got COVID, because it's like, I mean, I was able to survive that rusty thing, and clearly nothing else can take you down.
That's a good point.
I mean, that thing was like, and then also you'd spin it really fast and try and jump on it, and your shins would just get wrecked by it.
Yeah. Ah, the good old days. Now, if you're a geeky kind of a person, you remember buying that radioactive science kit that actually came with real radioactive material and a Geiger counter.
Oh, congratulations. You now have superpowers.
Yep. Oh, I remember that one. It was like, I just thought, for some reason, I thought everything was fake. Even though they said it was real, I was like, they couldn't really give us a real radioactive thing. And this Geiger counter must be just reacting to something else. Turns out it wasn't fake. It was really radioactive material.
When I'm thinking about like the playground, I mean, most of the things at the playground were just a death trap, but also the swings. Yeah. I mean, as silly as it is, but it was in junior high school. We had a swing set outside of our junior high school, and you would go on it. You wouldn't sit on the swings. You would stand on it and hold the chain.
Oh, no.
We keep pushing and pushing, and then we called it Spider-Man. I think it was just like basically Death Wish. And you would try and time it to jump off of the swing, like midair.
Oh, yeah.
And then jump and land and grab the fence.
And this was a time
like Spider-Man.
Yeah. And this was a time, and this is on the list as well, where all these playgrounds were built on asphalt. So, even the swing sets back in my day, they didn't think of maybe making a little sandy or whatever, just so you just get on there and okay then. Spider-Man face planted into asphalt.
Did you guys ever do the tire swings? Did you have those?
Yes.
Because I used to do a thing called Supermaning. It's where you'd have somebody in the tire swing and you'd spin them around really fast, and then you would grab onto the chain and Superman and hang around so you're also on the tire swing.
Oh, dear.
I may or may not have gone to the nurse's office after that.
Oh, there we go.
They probably had all those there just to keep the nurse employed.
Right?
It's like, why do we have this lady? I don't know. Let's create a ride that people could possibly impale themselves on.
Yeah,
put it outside in the playground.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Travis Gagne, bankruptcy attorney. He's here right now and has agreed to answer more of your questions about bankruptcy. How do I figure out who my creditors are?
People a lot of times have had a long time of not having good credit and having collections, and so they're concerned that you may be concerned that you won't be able to find all your creditors if you file bankruptcy. How will I know which collection agency has my credit card bill from 10 years ago now? And that's something that's hard to keep track of because credit collection agencies transfer your debts all over the place. But we will pull all your credit bureaus, and by getting all three of your credit bureaus, we'll be able to tell who has your credit and debt now, which collection agencies have had it in the past, and we'll make sure that we file all your creditors when we file your bankruptcy so that nothing slips through the cracks.
Thanks, Travis. If you have more questions about bankruptcy, you can reach out to Travis anytime at ChooseTheRightChapter.com. That's ChooseTheRightChapter.com. Thanks for listening.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
The world needed a safer trampoline. Dr. Keith Alexander, inventor of the Spring-Free Trampoline, wanted to bring the joy of trampolining to his daughter. His wife said they were too dangerous, so he invented his own. Spring-Free Trampoline is the world's safest trampoline, with no springs or hard edges. Now, parents can have peace of mind that their kids are outside jumping safely. To learn more, visit springfreetrampoline.com.
Wenatchee is gorgeous in the spring with its lush green rolling hills, abundant wildflowers everywhere, and the views of the Columbia River. The local food scene offers an abundant selection of authentic international cuisines featuring the unique farm-fresh ingredients of the region. Wenatchee is also home to award-winning wines, handcrafted hard ciders, and a talented handful of local brewers producing fine craft beers. Visit Wenatchee, the heart of Washington State.